unforgettable 138 as well.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special edition, a pre-recorded, so there is no live chat, with Natasha. She's a fellow podcaster, and we had to make some time just to get in her. So I didn't sound right to get us scheduled together. So me and Dina got together with her, and we're going to have a special edition inside her. Dina, where are you? You're hiding backstage here. I've already screwed this up.
Hello.
As usual. All right, let's bring in Natasha. Oh, this is great.
I tried so hard, I can't do
it. Yep, it's
gonna get inside you.
Oh God, it's about time someone does. Oh goodness. Well, what's
Natasha,
up, everybody?
The paranormal guys. We're glad you're here. We get real personal, as you see. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll start talking about your creepy things.
Well, first of all, I do want to do a very special shout out to Mr. Wendell, and apologize that I cannot answer any questions that you may have during, listening to this. Sorry, it's pre-recorded, but I'm not ignoring anybody. I apologize ahead of time. But anyway, I'm Natasha.
We'll find you.
Yeah, you'll find me. I tell everybody, hunt him down like a rabid animal. But I am the host of Cryptids, Creeps, and Conspiracy. And I'm fairly new. I just released my first episode in December. And, well, pretty much it's in the title. But I do get people that ask me. So basically, I do things a little different depending on the episode. So some of them I bring people on. I like to surprise them. I do the research. I write all my notes. I mean, this is a one-man show over here. And I bring them on. We go over, where is it from? What does it look like? What are some of the attributes that it has? Then I go over any encounters that I can find or whatever creature it is. And then at the end, we kind of do an open forum thing where it's, what are your thoughts and opinions? And I like to write down some, sometimes silly questions. Like, well, what would you do if you ran into this? On my Snallygaster episode, it was like, would you eat a Snallygaster omelet? Because they found an egg. And so I like to ask questions like that. And then people usually get thrown off the most with the creeps. It's pretty much, that was actually pretty vague. It's a lot of just spookiness in general. So far it's been a lot of my personal experiences, other people's experiences, ghost hunts that I go on or that other people might do. I do some interviews. I've done some with paranormal investigators where I kind of asked them, what's your favorite place? What are your methods? What equipment do you use? What do you not use? Do you have reasons why or why not? Just to kind of pick their brains, because I'm sure that there's people out there listening that maybe they're interested in going on a ghost hunt, but they have no idea where to start. I mean, that was kind of me on my first one. I was just like, I don't know. I was like, I just know I'm weird and weird stuff happens to me. So I was literally used as a human detector. That's why I was there. And I've done the one that comes out next week actually is a publisher and an author. And so we went over, it was kind of like a free range talk about dragons. It was really good. He was great. I have people that have had personal encounters or experiences with either cryptids or anything. So I just had Matt from Planet 412 on, and his story is freaking fantastic. I had to break it down to a two-parter because it was just way too much for one episode. But he's great, and I would have straight up my pants if I was in his shoes. So I'm trying to do the editing thing so that he doesn't have to do it for me. Bless his heart. But I just kind of try to do things a little bit different. But my favorite are definitely the cryptids. I've only done one conspiracy so far. And I did that with Kadra from Perplexity Podcast, and she was great, and we had a good time. I learned some really messed up stuff. And so I need to dive deeper into some of the topics that we covered because we just kind of very much, touch base on it.
Mhm.
But I know coming down the pike is I'm going to try to get some more UFO cases or alien related cases in. I do want to try to get more conspiracies in. That's not my strong suit. That's probably my least exposed topic. So I'm just iffy about getting into it just because, like I said, I don't know that much about it. I'm not as comfortable doing those. And there's so many different variations on every single conspiracy that I've found that it's really hard to kind of pack it all in. So I might have to structure them a little different, but I do want to get some more of those in there. I do have, my Patreon has a UFO encounter on it. That's just, one that everybody would probably know. And then I have another one scheduled, but we had to bump it back because they had some stuff going on. But it'll be coming. So just that kind of stuff. And anything, witchcrafty or, occult or, just dark or mystical, that kind of stuff is really what I enjoy. For anybody who can't see all my like weird candles and cryptid pictures and stuff in the background, that's kind of my jam. I also have my plague bird and my two skulls up here where you guys can't see them because they're on the other side of my computer.
Love it.
But yeah, we just, and I do like to tell everybody, although I do try to I take a lot of things somewhat serious. I know that sounds weird, but I do take it seriously as if you have an encounter or anything like that. 100%. I am open-minded. I want to hear it. I want to know because I'm curious too. If I have multiple people that are telling me they're having the same type of experience, there's probably something to that. And I am a optimistic skeptic, I guess, so to speak, where I do I do joke though. I make pretty much if there's an opportunity for me to joke, for the love of God, okay, without small children or any offensive ears.
Right.
The bonus Valentine's Day episode, hysterical.
Okay.
Very naughty, but very hysterical. And it's just that's one that I can think of where it's like I do like I like to have a good time and kind of joke around, loosen up. It's not real uptight and buttoned up and stuff like that. Although I have had instances where some people didn't take it as seriously, just the topic in general. They just kind of everything was just tossed to the side. They were very closed-minded, and I was just like, yeah, we can't do this. Like you got to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like to learn about the weird stuff.
Cool.
Us too.
Sorry, that was a really long intro, wasn't it? Sorry.
That was good. It was very good. Very thorough.
That's what we want. Something's messing with me right now, so
I hear them. I hear a woman speaking, and your thing is lighting up.
That's great. Yeah, because something is tickling deep inside my ear, like the little hairs inside my ear. Something it does this occasionally when I'm on show, and now it's doing it to my nose to try and get me something. No, it's okay.
No, I warned you.
No, it happens. It happens a lot, but I've never heard a voice. I've never heard the voice, but I heard it while she was talking.
I really wish because I couldn't hear it. I wish I could because I had a woman talk to me while I was editing.
Oh,
I never heard it. Normally, like I said, we record stuff, you don't hear anything, everything's fine on the playbacks when you hear it. But this one, I was editing and she just straight up just inserted herself in and then just hopped right out. And she was really pleasant. She was very polite.
Yeah, I hear her. She's she's speaking. I don't know. I can't hear what she's saying, but
I turned it up.
She's a very pleasant person.
If she has something to say it in the mic. We'll hear it on playback. That's for sure.
Yeah, don't be scared. Mine will talk to you.
I'm a paramedic instructor, and I was recording an episode for one of my students' classes, and so I was reading the textbook. I had a PowerPoint, and I'm going through it. I'm going back and editing it before I send it out in email. And I hear this really strange voice in there. And I'm like, what the hell? Maybe my kids made a noise or something. I didn't know what it was. And finally, I managed to edit it down to just that segment. And it was saying something in a different language. And so, having done so many podcasts, I had some connections. I sent it out. I actually sent it out to a friend who was a CIA linguist. And he
I need
thought
that
I was
connection.
messing with him.
Cool.
So he sent it to one of his friends to verify that I hadn't faked the recording. I was like, gee, thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. Me and you were friends.
Oh,
And
never be
I
never
sent
be.
back that said it was old. Oh, gosh, what was it? It was from Louisiana. Old French Cajun.
Oh.
But they couldn't understand enough of the wording to get it. And I'm thinking, I live in Snellville, Georgia, which is just east of Atlanta. How in the hell do I have a French Cajun in my room here speaking to the microphone? And it was just like 2 or 3 words, and that was it. So it happens. But
at least mine are nice enough to let me understand them.
Yeah.
Well, usually it's like muffled, but
Yeah.
when some of them are very, very clear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see my mic lighting up.
Yeah, it lit up all the while she was talking. I thought somebody was in the room with you.
No.
Oh, that's probably why I didn't hear it. I have hearing problems, so if I'm talking, I can't hear anything else. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm
See,
weird.
I can hear. I don't see anything, but I can hear and smell.
Ugh, that's probably
Yes,
unpleasant sometimes.
Yeah, I was going to ask you,
Mm-hmm.
Natasha, do you see things at all, or is it just?
Oh yeah, mine is. I mean, it's everything. I mean, they will be there. I'll see them. I'll hear them. Usually, if I tell them to do something or I tell them to stop, they listen. So that's nice, and I guess. I do get these, the weird smells and stuff sometimes. I don't get those as often. Usually, it seems like everything. I have more. If I had to rank them, I'd say I get more auditory and then visual, and then they like to touch me, which is very unpleasant. And then from there, things move around my house, things turn on, just weird stuff in general. But smells are pretty. It's like this, whatever it is the same. It is light enough I can see it. The same smell that I get, but I don't know what it is. It's always like cigarette smoke.
I've smelled smoke and perfume and aftershave or cologne. Different ones.
I want a perfume ghost. I'm tired of this dirty old relit the butt cigarette guy.
Right.
Well, it might have been Gertrude. For all I know, it could have been Gertrude. This is what I call her. She's our old lady. But I do have some, which I think is weird, that what I try to explain is, so sometimes I can actually visually see them, but sometimes things happen, and when they start happening, it's like I get this picture, almost like they're trying to give me a projection of this is who I am. Whatever their presence is, I can see who they are. I don't know who they. I mean, I don't know who they are, but I can see what they look like.
Right.
But they're not actually standing there.
Yeah. Now I've gotten feelings. Feelings from them, but not really necessarily seeing anything in front of me. So it's just kind of weird, and you can kind of picture. I guess they give you the picture of them in your mind. But
it's like I feel like they give you how they want you to perceive them.
Yeah.
Maybe if they actually took the energy to show up, it would not be how they want you to see them. They might look different.
Yeah.
Which is the only thing I can think of.
Yeah. It's very odd.
No, it is very odd. Do you have a problem with things that are rechargeable, like your phone or batteries or anything, just disappear, or not disappearing, but the energy gone in them? That's happened to me a lot. In fact, I'm having a Mandela effect right now. I'm in a group where we go out and we look for Bigfoot. And
I'm too scared.
I mean, it's fun. Basically, I say we're camping with Bigfoot because, well, here's what the best thing about it is we can go camping and everybody out in the woods or whatever. But if you're sitting at the base camp and you're not doing anything, feet up, drinking a beer, guaranteed Bigfoot's going to mess with you. Guaranteed. I
have a theory.
You're bored. So, okay, go ahead.
So my theory is why I don't go. Because I sometimes wonder if the reason that there are so few actual, sightings or whatever with Bigfoot is for the same reason that there's so few encounters with the paranormal in general, like ghosts or spirits or demons or whatever wants to come nose around. So because I'm very strange and I'm very different, to the point where I've literally had people that do the whole, energy thing, and they get to me and they're like, whoa, something something's definitely going on. You got a lot going on here.
Mhm.
And I'm afraid that maybe the big foots, whatever, the big footies, the big hairy fellas and ladies,
Yeah.
they might pick up on the same type of energy that the other, paranormal stuff might be picking up on. So it makes me very nervous because I don't think that they're all nice and cuddly. I think that if this thing's going to see me, it is an animal. It's going to kick my and try to eat my, and it's not going to be fun. So I'm just always afraid that if I do go, I'm afraid if I go, I'll actually see something, but it'll be in a situation where maybe I can't get out.
Oh,
Like
okay.
it'll be so curious
Yeah.
because I am like maybe it feels whatever energy I have, and it'll
Mhm.
be curious and it'll try to get closer or whatever. And I feel like that's kind of correlated, and I don't want to risk it. And I hate being
had
outside.
in the Carolina woods, me and one other person, law enforcement, 3-letter agency law enforcement, were way back in the woods in North Carolina. They said I had sleep paralysis, but it was as clear as a bell, and I couldn't escape it for the world.
Okay,
It was horrible.
that's did you hear that?
I heard his audio go out. I didn't hear
Exactly.
anything
That's
else.
what I was saying. So you said sleep paralysis, and then it was
Yeah.
And then it was like at the end, it was almost like a whoop, whoop, like something was there, and then you came back
Yeah.
on as soon as you were done talking. So whatever it is does not want you talking about it, but try to do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we were up in the North Carolina woods, and at night we had like a small fire going just for like visible light. And in the middle of the night, somewhere around 2, 3 a.m., I felt something outside of my tent. And I could feel it. I have a small tent, so I could feel like fur rubbing up against the side of the
God.
tent. The inside of the tent lit up like you would put a light bulb at the top of the tent. And I could see everything. I was wide awake, and it was right there, and I knew it, and it was growling, and I'm thinking in my head, there's only a piece of nylon cloth, it can make its way in. And so apparently in my sleep paralysis, I started screaming for my co-camper, Lee, and well, it came out like, no.
Yeah.
Except amplified about 10,000 times, scared the shit out of him. He rolled out of his bed with his Glock aimed at my tent. Thank God I was asleep and didn't
I
know.
thought you were gonna say aimed at your tit. I was like,
Yeah, I need my tit. Oh.
Yeah. He was going for the dick. I think I can say that on nothing radio. It's always been my fear. I'm gonna discover the only gay Bigfoot, and I won't be able to tell anybody. That's my biggest fear. So you can see we take this cryptid stuff serious. So I woke up, and when I heard him finally calling my name, the light in the tent went out and shot straight up the top of the tent, and there was just a little frog. I don't know what significance a frog was. And it floated right across in front of my eyes where I could see it, and it was like boop, up through the light and gone.
Wow.
oh, poor little frog.
That's
I know. And I was
crazy.
I bet he was a snack.
He might have
Yeah,
been.
terrified.
Maybe that was your French, whatever, Louisiana. It was like giving them frog legs.
Yeah.
Maybe where I picked him up. Yeah, he wanted some Cajun. So.
Yeah. There you go.
The next morning we got up, and being a firefighter, I'm always safety of the campfire. I had left a log that was intentionally chopped in half, and when it had been burning, only the center had been burning. So it was basically a U. I flipped it upside down so it could burn the rest of the way up and just be a little fire, just enough for not daylight, but visible light around the camp. It was deep in the rocks. It was uphill. We woke up the next morning, and both of us thought the other one did it. The log had been kicked out of the fire pit and rolled, which isn't physically possible because of its shape, uphill.
All right, Mr. Bigfoot, meet Smokey the Bear.
Yeah.
Y'all need to have a talk.
Yeah, Smokey wasn't happy with me. I didn't put the fire out right. So yeah, Lee was even like, "Did you do that in the middle of the night?" And I'm like, "No, I thought you did." And then we started investigating. It was like, okay, well, it had to went up over the rocks. And then once it hit there, it had to roll up this little slope. He's like, "That's not possible." I'm like, Yeah, no shit. Neither was what happened in my tent.
Was the ground
Wow.
in any condition where there may have been prints around it by chance?
Well, he is actually a professional tracker for his agency, and he like sealed the area off like a crime scene and started investigating. He couldn't find
I
anything.
like this guy.
Yeah.
I'd say I'd go camping with him, but my husband might not like it.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you creepy things would happen. So, and
Yeah.
I'm like you, I'm a magnet for him outside. And the home, knock on wood, I hope this is wood, I'm okay. Besides for like right now.
Except for right now, because I'm here and weird stuff happens when I'm here.
Yeah.
Regardless. For everyone I've recorded with, everything. It's always when I'm online.
We'll keep you around. I like you.
So
Yeah.
I think, well, everybody's always like, oh my God, don't bring him over here. I was like, I don't think it's mine. I was like, I think maybe it's whatever's over, which seriously, I sometimes think that whatever is over there,
Mhm.
like can tell that that I'm here, whatever the case may be. And I sometimes wonder if it's trying to get to me through their stuff. You know what I mean?
Possibly. He's had several things happen. He's been touched before. His microphone, he used to have one that sat on the desk. It has raised and moved. And I've seen that.
Oh no.
Yeah. I mean, I saw it happen, and then we played it back, and it happened. But I've never heard anybody speak until today.
Man, I wish I could have heard it, because I almost wonder if it was the same voice that
I don't know.
okay, so if I could describe what I pictured in my mind when I heard this woman's voice talking to me, it was almost like Amelia Earhart time frame, like maybe mid-30s, like a younger lady, and she was very polite. Like I was watching, so I was editing, and you could see the little bars with all the voices, and everything looks normal, and it's going, and then all of a sudden it's still going, but my headphones are just like, shh, hello.
Huh. Oh, really?
And then quiet, and I didn't even hesitate. I was like, oh, hello, and then I was like, oh wait, I'm alone.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, hello, whoever you are.
Uh-huh.
But she seemed very polite and friendly, and she just she just popped in, said hello, and then left. And so I went back and replayed it, and she was gone. It wasn't in the recording. It was literally as I was listening, she came in my headphones to talk to me, and then just was like, okay, I'm done.
The voice is kind of like that. It's like a real pleasant kind of lilting, like sort of on the higher end, I guess you'd say. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. It almost puts me in, like I said, the era of Amelia Earhart, but more of like, I just think of like the curly, short, bob cut, like housewife.
She's talking now.
Type. I can't hear you, darling.
Speak louder. They're trying to hear you. I can't hear you. So speak into the mic right here. You're trying to push me out of the way.
Hello?
Does she just only want to talk when I'm talking?
No, she's speaking.
Oh, I heard something, but it was almost like as if it was on like a radio, like a CB.
Uh-huh.
She's messing with my hair. I can feel it. She's got her finger in her ear, in my ear. She's
likes Glenn.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. So yeah, I
Can
remember
you leave Glenn alone, please?
One night I laid down, and as I was going to sleep, I was like half awake, half asleep. Something leaned into my ear and whispered, "She knows everything." I'm awake at that moment. I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute. What does she know?" I mean,
what did you do? Oh, my creeper is a little more aggressive. So when I sleep, every night when I go to sleep, partially because I have ADHD brain and I can't shut it down, which is why I can't sleep. And I sleep with a headband, so it blocks out all of the light. And then they have built-in speakers that I turn all the way up, and I listen to the sound of just constant rain. So it's like shh all night long. So it drowns. Yeah, so it like drowns everything out. So I was in bed. Girls like me we really only sleep on our side.
Yeah.
Because it's the only comfortable place we can go.
Right.
So I'm laying there and I got my headphones on and I go to bed before everybody else, obviously. And I was just listening, I was just relaxing. And all of a sudden I felt someone like, you ever have anybody like go to get your attention and they like grab like the arch of your foot?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like it grabbed, it was just like holding the arch of my foot.
Oh,
and so
that
it's like,
would freak
I was
me
like,
the hell out.
honey, did you need something? Because my husband's still up at this point. And I
Yeah.
was like, honey, did you need something? Nothing. Babe, nothing. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I turned my headphones back on and I'm just like, well, no, I don't know. So
Yeah.
then it was like on like right above my ankle. Like it felt like somebody was just holding like just enough to put enough weight on to be like, I'm here. Like almost like just to let you know, like I said, it wasn't anything weird or anything. It was just, I'm here and I'm letting you know I'm here. And I was like, babe, did you need something? Nothing. I'm like, whatever, dude. So I turned back on and I lay back down. And then it was like on the back of my knee.
Oh.
And it just felt like a hand, like a decent sized hand on the back of my knee. And I was like, babe, I'm like, what do you need? Nothing. I'm like, come on, dude, I'm trying to sleep. And I'm like, come on. Nothing. I'm like, whatever. So I turn it back on. And I love how I just shrug it off like 5 times. Then the mother goes like an inch or 2 up my thigh.
Oh.
And is like grabbing, like you can feel the pressure on my leg.
Creepy.
And so me thinking, oh, maybe my husband wants to get a little, action or something.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, hey, babe, did you want it? And I turned my head and took my headphones off and there was nothing there.
Oh, no.
And it still felt like whatever it was still holding my leg. And I was like, there's nothing. There's no cat, no dog, no kid, nothing. I was by myself. I was like, I'm sorry, but I was like, but you need to let go of my leg right now. I was like, this is not okay. You cannot touch me like that, period. I was like, you got to go now. I was like, I got to sleep and you're being creepy. And as soon as I said that, it like let go. Man, that thing is lighting up like a son of a gun.
I know it.
But it let go and then it left me alone the rest of the night.
Dang.
But he was getting fresh.
Yeah.
Are you noticing my hair?
You're kind of blurry.
Is it standing up?
Yeah,
it almost looks like a balloon, like a static balloon.
It does.
But I don't know if that's what it normally looks like.
No.
I see it.
Yeah, your blur background is making like the top of it fuzzy.
Let me see if I can.
Oh,
yeah.
She's moving my hair.
She's moving my hair. And it's very odd feeling. Yeah, she's and I got a ceiling fan on, but I've never had that happen before. And I've never had it to the front. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
So
it's really
I got a good spooky one for you. My kids haunt me.
Your what?
My kids. So my breathing child is one of 5 kids. And I've, lost all the other one. It was like horribly traumatic. That's actually the first one that I lost. I had to have emergency surgery, and that's where I had my first near-death experience. So they were nothing was just like, oh, you just what? No, it was like always this horrible thing that surrounded everything. It was very dramatic.
Yeah.
As my life is. But anyway, so they kind of followed me, and they've literally followed me from house to house to house. No matter where I move, they're always there. And I know it's them.
Yeah.
I just know it's them. And I don't know how I know. I just know. You know what I mean? It's like when you see your own, breathing kid, you're like, I know that one's mine. Like he's mine. But they like to pull pranks. And they really like to wake me up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So the first one is it's really not bad. I'll do the worst one next, but I have this habit where I go to bed in my bed. I usually wake up an hour or 2 later. I move to the couch. I put the seat up and I sleep on the couch the rest of the night. I don't know why, it just works. But I was asleep. It was 3 a.m. It's always like 3 a.m. These guys suck. And I had my headphones on just like I normally do. And it sounded like, okay, you guys have little kids ever like in your house and they go to wake you up in the middle of the night and they like stand like by your bed and they're like, and they call for you.
Yeah.
It was like, I knew that it was right next to me on the floor.
Mhm.
Like it sounded like it was standing right next to me, and I heard, "Mommy,"
Yes.
and I was like, I turned my headphones off and I lifted my thing because I mean it was to the point where I was up.
Oh, yeah.
My kid's too cool for that. My kid calls me mom now, because he's too
Yes.
big.
Yes.
But this one always calls me mommy, and it
Uh-huh.
was just like mommy, and I pulled my headphones off and I was like, "You son of a!" I was like, "Really?" I was like, "Dude, mom's trying to sleep." I was like, "I love you. Go away." I was like, "I need to get
Yeah.
some rest," and then it left me alone. Now this one's like super crazy. Oh, gives me the willies. So again, I'm in bed, I'm laying down, got my headphones on, and I'm just, snoozing away.
Mhm.
And I hear from what sounds like I had my door closed, so it sounded like it was right on the other side of my bedroom door. And I heard, "Mommy." So I paused it and I was like, and I thought maybe it was my kid. Yeah, I don't know. And I
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah, booger," because I call him weird names.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Nothing." I'm like, "Bug, did you need something?" Nothing. I was like, "Screw it." So I turned the
Yeah.
headphones back on, I lay down. And then I get like maybe a couple minutes later, "Mommy." So I pause him again and I'm like, "Bug, did you need something? Are you okay?" Nothing. Silence. So I turn it back on and I lay back down. You think I would learn?
Yeah.
We
I
do
get up and
this.
open the door.
Yeah, we do this like 4 or 5 times back and forth where I'm like, "Bug," because it's just like, "Mommy." And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
"Okay, like, what do
Yeah.
you need?"
Go
Then I
back.
turn him on and like 5 minutes later, it has this horrible, like when your kid is like genuinely scared
Yes.
and it is like, I mean, it thinks you lost it in the grocery store kind of scared.
Yes.
And it's never going to see you again. And it has that pitch that there's just
Mhm.
something about that tone.
Yes.
So it busts out that tone and it's like, "Mommy," like on the other side of this door. So of course, I mean, I whipped the headband off and I mean, I was up
Right.
and I was like shaking my husband. I'm like, "Did you hear that?" And he's like, "Did I hear what?" I was like, "You didn't hear that kid? It's been talking to me for like 20 minutes. He's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "You didn't hear that?" And he's like, "No." And I was like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Honey, it's in your head. Go to bed." I'm like, "It's on the other side of the door. It's not in my head."
Mhm.
And so I was like, "Okay, I'm coming. And I like whipped the door open real fast. Nothing. Just
Oh my gosh.
empty
That would drive
hallway.
me
Oh, it
insane.
gets better. So in my house, you have to go like out of my bedroom door and then you go like through the dining room. It's like all one big open thing. So it's like
Mhm.
dining room, living room, little baby hallway, and then my son's room.
Yeah.
So of course, at this point, I'm so worked up that I was like, I have to go set eyes on my child to make sure that he is okay.
Right.
And so I walk out and I take like a couple steps and the thought like enters my mind and I'm like, "Wait a minute. My kid doesn't call me mommy."
Mhm.
Then at the same time, I'm like, that wasn't his voice because my son is very mature for his age.
Yeah.
So he sounds like this.
Uh-huh.
He sounds like a grown man.
Yeah.
He's also like 5'7" and like 220 pounds. So it's basically a man.
Yeah.
But as soon as I turned my back towards the kitchen, all I could hear behind me was like just
Oh.
giggling.
Oh, they got you.
Like gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, everything, all the hair stood up. I had goosebumps because I mean, I could hear it clear as day. And I was like, "Do I turn around?" I've got goosebumps already talking about it.
Yeah.
I was like, "Do I turn around?" I'm like, "I've got to turn around." I was like, "I know there's nothing there." And so I turn around, nothing,
Oh
empty,
my
just
gosh.
nothing there. So then I go just to make sure, and I open my son's room.
Mhm.
He's out cold.
Oh,
He
of
had
course.
budge. He's sawing logs in there, sprawled out on the bed.
Ah.
And I was just like, "Okay." I was like, "Guys, that's not funny."
Yeah.
I was like, "I understand you're trying to have fun." I was like, "But we can't do this." I was like, I no. I was like, "I gotta get some
Yeah.
sleep." And that's not funny. I was like, "It scares me. So stop."
Mhm.
And then and they've never done it again since.
Aw.
But
Those little hearts.
I had a co-host on another podcast before I started this one.
Mhm.
And one day, so I always say, I think my son is my first kid, which is kind of weird, but they look like identical.
Yeah.
And I saw him after my near-death experience. I saw him and the twins, which are
Uh-huh.
the only 2 that I had had at the time,
Yeah.
in a dream. And when I had my son, it was so bizarre because I was looking at him like, I know this face. Even on the ultrasound, when they did the ultrasound with like the 3D
Mhm.
stuff,
Mhm.
I'm like, "Whoa, I know him. I've
Yeah.
seen him before. I've seen this face."
Yeah.
And as he's getting older, because the age that he was when I saw him is about the same age my son is now. So it's like really kind of weird. But we were recording facing each other in my kitchen, and we're talking and talking and talking. And I was just like, whatever. And she looked up and looked behind me, and just her face just was like ghost. Like, I mean, just
man.
and her face was like, oh my, like she was freaked out. She was like, you said your kid was gone, right? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, he's not even in the same county. He's like 2 counties away from here. She's like, he was just behind you. And I was like, I'm like, what? And she goes, I swear. She goes, I looked up and he was standing. And the thing is, I could feel that there was something there, but I didn't know what it was.
Right.
And she's like, he was standing right behind me, just looking over my, just kind of like looking down to be like, oh, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like just checking out what I'm doing. She goes, it looked identical to your kid.
Wow.
I'm like, that was David.
Yeah.
That was my first one, because they look exactly the same. And I mean, she, and it's not like she was like new. I mean, she's family. We've known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
And it was just so weird, because I mean, she was even like convinced that it was my kid. She's like, I have no idea how he got there, but he was there. I was looking right at him. She goes, he didn't say anything. He just looked at me kind of funny. She goes, and then he was just gone. And I was like, surprise. But yeah. But most of the stuff that I see, like around here, we have like the normal people that I'm used to. But the ones that normally I don't see them. I'm really surprised that he let her see him, but I've not seen him that I know of. Granted, I mean, I guess it very well could have been my kid, and I just didn't know the difference.
That's true.
But talk about what's that movie? Parent Trap.
Oh yeah. Like switching out with his ghost brother.
But when I first started, so like the first thing I ever saw was not a person. I'm pretty sure it was a demon.
Oh.
And I think it follows me. And this was, let's see here. So I'm just gonna tell everybody, screw it. I'm 33. And I was probably, I want to say like 15 or so. And we lived in this house that my grandparents built. Actually my great-grandparents built that house. My grandparents built our house. And then my aunt and uncle tore down my great-grandparents' house and they built a house on it.
Oh, okay.
So they were like literally across a pond from me. So we were really close. We shared a driveway.
Yeah. And
it was like a circular driveway. And my mom needed something from my aunt's house. I don't know. It was dark. I don't know why the heck she was sending me out there in the dark, but she was. And of course, me, I'm 15. I'm like, yeah, I got my permit. Like, I want to cruise that gold Mercury van, mama. Like, let me do it. And it was like 30 seconds up the road. So she was like, yeah, fine. Here's the keys. Just shut up and go. And so I'm all excited, and I'm young and fresh and trying to be responsible. So I'm literally going 30 seconds down a driveway. I'm not even touching the main road. But I get in the car and I'm checking my mirrors. I'm adjusting my seat. I heard that one.
Yeah.
That was not a lady.
No. I don't know what that was.
I might know. Speak of the devil. Hi, friend. That's the one I was telling you about earlier.
Okay.
That likes to growl at me.
Oh.
But anyway, so I'm in the car and I get a 10 and 2 and I reach forward to turn the keys, and all of a sudden, like every hair just stood on end. I mean, I was covered in goosebumps, and I've not ever, had any experiences before. And I was like, something's wrong. And out of the corner of my eye, I suddenly see this, like a black mass in the passenger seat. And so I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay, I should probably look. Yeah. I'm like, oh, if I look, it'll go away, right? It's just in the corner of my eye. It's fine. It's fine. It's just something I'm seeing out of the corner of my eye. It's fine. And I'm trying to, talk myself up. And so I like really slowly like turn my head, and literally as if it was sitting in the passenger seat, like with the legs and everything is, okay. So do you know the character? His name is No Face from Spirited Away. It's like a Japanese movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
He's like this big black mask, and he has like the white painted Japanese, whatever. Ceramic mask on. Okay. If you take his mask mask off. That's what it looks like. And
Okay.
it was sitting in the passenger seat, but it was like turned, like from the, well, quote unquote waist, where I would imagine
Yeah.
a waist was, and it was turned towards me, and it had this long arm stuck out like on the dashboard
Uh-huh.
with these like huge, long, like sharp fingers,
Ooh.
kind of like Jim Carrey the Grinch, but not hairy and jet black.
Yeah.
And it
Ooh.
was just like sitting there looking like right at me, like it was waiting for me to turn, like just sitting there,
Mhm.
just waiting, just chilling.
Yeah.
And it was just, everything was all black, but it was weird because it had these big sockets where the eyes would be,
Uh-huh.
and they were almost blacker than black, I guess. And it's like I looked at it and I couldn't look away. Like I was
Yeah.
just staring at it, partially because I was like, what the is this?
Yeah.
And it almost felt like it was like draining. Like I could feel it like taking something. I don't know if it was like energy or if it
Mhm.
like what it was, but it was taking something. Like it was like deep, almost like it was like searing into my soul kind of look at me.
Oh, that's
And
so
it was like taking it away. And eventually I closed my eyes and I put my head down. I was like, no, I'm like, you're not real. You have to go away. You're not here. Go away. I don't want you here. And like, so I'm like,
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
Just
That's
totally went
crazy.
away.
Come
Yeah.
I was
back.
gonna do that. I told you. He
Yeah,
doesn't like it when I talk about him.
Oh, that's crazy.
Totally gone.
Sorry.
I even put your signal up there because I saw some interference. So that's your Wi-Fi signal. So
Yeah.
I have full bars.
Yeah.
yeah.
Hi, friend. But anyway, so it disappears when I open my eyes. I go to my aunt's house and I get whatever the heck I was getting, like sugar or something. And I start heading back the driveway towards my house. And at the end of the driveway, there was a street lamp.
Uh-huh.
But we're talking like I lived in the middle of the country of a small town.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like an actual street lamp. It was like this big with like this metal thing that was like, I don't know, I don't know if it was on a timer or mercury or something. It
Mhm.
wasn't just like a normal light. And out from underneath my van, right before I turned, this thing like came out and like scuttled,
Slithered.
I guess would be a
Ugh.
good word. Like elbows up in the air with the fingers in. Its knees were up in the air. It was like on its belly, like rubbing the ground. And it was like scurrying, I guess,
Ooh.
towards the light. But it was doing this weird movement, kind of like it was phasing in and out like the Ring.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
whatever, where it's got that weird like staticky type thing. It
Yeah.
was doing that. And so it goes towards the light. It climbed up the light, but when it did, it was almost like its arms and its elbows and its knees were out to the side, and it was like shimmying like a lizard.
Yeah.
Up the light, it goes to the top of the light, and the light just explodes. It's like literally goes poof, and it's just like gone. Light goes out.
Oh my
Like 2
gosh.
days later, somebody from the county had to come replace the light because it like actually destroyed the light.
That's
And then it
crazy.
disappeared until about 2 months ago.
Oh,
And
wow.
he came to visit me again. Apparently he's still hanging around, obviously.
Mhm.
But I was in bed, and again, I never sleep on my back ever, ever, ever. Just doesn't work. Because partially
Yeah.
because I can't breathe, and yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought I was asleep. And again, this is like right at 3:00 in the morning. And then all of a sudden my eyes are open. Like I felt like I was awake. And I knew that it was the middle of the night. So everything should have been dark because we don't have any
Mhm.
lights on.
Mhm.
And we have like blackout curtains. But it was almost as if the whole room was like slightly lit with like a bluish hue, I guess, kind of like just enough
Mhm.
where you could barely see the shadow of like the dresser and stuff in the room.
Yeah.
But what's weird is I didn't move. So I was laying there. It's not that I couldn't move. I never
Uh-huh.
even tried to move.
Yeah.
I never felt threatened. I never felt like anything was wrong. I was just like, I was like, why am I awake? This is really weird. And I was like looking around. I'm like, this is strange. And then out of like the corner comes that same hand at
Uh-huh.
me, like right at me. And it goes right in the middle. Like, so again, I'm on my back with my arms down, and it goes right on like the middle of my bicep, and just, it felt like the tip of a kitchen knife. And
Mhm.
it just very lightly 3 times just went down my bicep, kind of like I could hurt you, but
Yeah.
I'm not. And it was just 3 times, and then the hand backed away. And then everything was the normal color that it should have been. It's not like I didn't wake up, but it was like I still had my eyes open and everything. I never woke up. It was just everything changed while I was looking right at it.
That's
And then,
so
and then it was
weird.
just gone.
You didn't have any scratches?
Nope. So it was like very, very light. Like I said, it was, and I could feel it. I mean, it was sharp, but it was like, I could do this, but I'm not going to. And I was like, okay. The next day, my computer wouldn't work. My phone wouldn't work. My watch wouldn't pair to my phone. My headphones wouldn't pair to my phone. Nothing would hook to Wi-Fi. My battery was shot. My car wouldn't start. Every computer at work died when I touched it. And then I came home, saged the holy out of everything, and then everything came back on.
Wow.
So I don't know, but it was just really weird because, like I said, the whole time, even with it touching me and everything, I never once felt in danger. I never felt threatened. I never felt uncomfortable. And when it was coming at me, it was literally, my brain was like, oh, I know you. Like, hi again. Like, it was just like a friend that didn't even bother me.
Oh, it's so creepy.
And your husband never did any of this?
Nope. My husband thinks I'm nuts.
Yeah, so because okay, yeah.
I even sicked the ghost on him, and he still thinks I'm nuts. And they listened.
They did. He didn't hear anything, or nothing happened, or
he had no idea, and then thought I was crazy because I was saging everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's hard to get somebody to believe something.
Oh, okay. So here's the thing. I'm in the kitchen, right? And these things are just screwing with me. And I'm like, guys, I know you're here. I've seen you. I've heard you. I've seen what you can do. I know you're here. I am tired. I was like, he doesn't believe me and he thinks you're not real. So why don't you just with him for a little bit?
Yeah.
And maybe he'll come around. I kid you not. The next day, I was at work. So I get up and I go to work before he does. And then like a couple hours later, then he gets up and, whatever. And he calls me. And he was like, what were you doing this morning? I was like, getting ready for work. And then I went to work and he's like, well, why did you do this? And I was like, do what? And he's like, you brewed a cup of coffee and it spilled all over the counter and you just left it. And I was like, I did not brew a cup of coffee. He goes, it looks like you literally brewed a large cup of coffee with no cup. And it was all over the counter, all down the cabinets, all over the floor. And he was like, I don't understand. He's like, well, what can I? I was like, honey, I have not touched that Keurig machine in over a month.
Oh.
So it had to have turned it on, opened the lid, closed the lid, and selected large. And then poured it all over. So then he still didn't believe me, right?
Right.
The day after that, he calls me at work again. And he's got like, his little panic in his voice. And he's like, babe, I got a problem. And I was like, okay, what's the problem? The treadmill turned itself on. So I was like, I'm sorry. What? And then he goes, the treadmill turned itself on. I'm like, okay. And in the background, I can hear the treadmill running. He goes, how do you turn it off? I was like, well, there's a bar, slide it, left, turns it off, right, speeds it up, make sure it's all the way to the left. He's like, it is.
Oh.
I'm like, okay. Pull the safety switch. I said, just pull the safety switch because once it's out, it's got to turn off. That's part of it. I was like, it's always worked for me. I've never had any issues. Just pull it out. And I hear click. And it's still running. And like,
no.
That didn't work either, babe. That didn't work either. So I was like, okay. Unplug it from the wall. Just unplug it. Just unplug the whole thing. And you could just hear him. He's kind of like, okay. And you could hear it snap out of the wall. And it stopped. And he was like, oh, thank God. He's like, if that didn't work, we were going to move. And I was like, joke's on you. It's not the house. I said, I told you they're there.
Yeah.
The best part was I have a Ring doorbell. This whole thing was on film.
Oh, was it really?
Unfortunately. So I saved it. I sent it to a friend of mine so that they could watch it because I was like, oh, they're not going to believe this crap because we're always joking that he didn't believe us.
Right.
And they watch it, they comment, we're fine, whatever. I go back whenever I do my episode, it's gone. There's no
Really?
trace of this video anywhere. It's not in
Aw.
my messages. It's not on the Ring backup. It is nowhere. I mean, it deleted it's everything before and after is there, but that one snip, gone.
Aw.
I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, I had video evidence. And
I
he's
hate to
like, well,
freak you
maybe.
out, but
Huh?
that's usually ET. I said, I hate to freak you out about that, but that's usually ET like stuff when they do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's what I was like. Well, I was like, just pester him, leave me alone.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, it's just electrical glitch. I was like,
No.
I was like 2 days in a row. 2 days in a row.
Mm-mm.
Unexplained electric. I was like, even if it was an electrical glitch, the safety switch should have worked.
Yeah.
How did it go through all the steps to get the stupid coffee on the floor?
Right.
That's not a glitch.
Yep. That's not an
I did think
electrical glitch.
I did think it was funny that they picked the large cup, though.
Yeah, it is
I was
funny.
like, good job, guys.
Yeah.
Way to go. I was like, you are my kids after all.
Well, I was going to ask, where do you think you picked these up and when?
Well, the guy that just kicked me off earlier, the first time I saw him in that, demon situation, that was the first thing that I ever encountered. That was before my near-death experience. That was before everything. It just showed up. I don't know why. And like I said, it disappeared for 20 years almost.
Yeah.
And then just showed back up randomly one time. And then, well, now I don't see him. He's just, I guess, here.
Yeah.
There's an old lady that I think was, and sometimes I wonder if it's, again, with that vibration or something that people that are sensitive put out, that maybe it's kind of like a backwards, what are those candles that you put up for the mosquitoes? It's like one of those.
Citronella?
Yeah, the citronella candles. So I almost wonder if it's kind of like that, where things around can pick up on the signals, and so they kind of migrate.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're kind of like, oh, hey, this one can hear us, this one can see us, this one can do this, and so they kind of go out accordingly. Because some of the ones here, I didn't have my potty poltergeist. She likes the bathroom. We call her Gertrude. But she likes to hang out in the bathroom and flicker the lights off and on when I'm in the shower, but only one of them, the other one stays on. And when I leave the bathroom, they are fine. But some of them I think are just around here. The other ones, I don't know. So that same house where I was at, and then the kids, obviously, that's why they're here. But really the ones that follow me are really just the creeper that likes to shut my stuff down, and the kids. Everything else seems to be different. So I have an older lady, although there is I kind of get a feeling that he's a maybe mid-30s gentleman, the creeper that was grabbing my leg. I'm not sure. I don't think he's the same one that I saw in the other house. You moving again?
She's still touching your hair?
Yeah.
I hear her again.
Whatever it is, mess with my hair. So.
That is so weird.
I don't know.
Maybe if it's I don't think it's me. Well, maybe it might be me. I'm trying to think. Is there one that I'm not talking about? Because maybe that's the one trying to get my attention. I already talked about the one that came in. There is another woman, but there's Gertrude. She's an old lady. She's really nice. She doesn't really do anything. She just likes to flicker the lights off and on and occasionally move things around the house.
I think this one is there with him a lot, but
okay, so it's not me. Okay,
no,
if it's mine, I'm I don't think it's me.
No, you might be giving her more power to speak or something, because she's never. I've never heard her.
Yeah, so I'm kind of what's the word they said to me? I'm kind of like a battery.
A battery, yeah.
Yes.
Or an amplifier.
Yes, there you go.
We had
also, energy vampires too. The opposite of that.
Yeah. I've had some people like that, and I can't do it. No. But I've even been I went on a ghost hunt, and there were 2 empaths that were there, and they didn't really say anything, and I didn't say anything about stuff that happens to me, and there was a gentleman running the thing, and he was like, "You two ladies," and there was mom and daughter.
Yeah.
And he was like, "You two ladies," he's like, "You guys have like," and I can't remember what he called it, but it was something like, they could, I don't know if it was feel or like they could feel them, not necessarily hear or see them. And then he got to me and he was like, "Well, you got a whole lot of like a bunch of stuff going on." I was like, I know, dude. Trust me, I know. I was like, I get it. And he's like, you need to figure this out. Because he was like, he goes, "I don't think which is crazy because I mean, he does these all the time. That's what he does. And he was like, "I've never met somebody that puts off whatever you're putting off.
Yeah.
Like with everything weird." I'm like, I know.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm a unicorn.
Yeah.
But on like a non-spooky thing. So I have called 11 children. I told their parents they were pregnant, and I told them what the ginger was before they even knew they were pregnant.
Aw.
And I mean, like when I told them, they went to the doctor 4 weeks later and they were 4 weeks pregnant.
Oh, wow.
So it was almost like when they're
That's
getting it on, I'm having dreams about them having babies, I guess.
Yeah. Like, hey.
Yeah, which that part's kind of cool.
It is.
Which is it's just really cool, and it's a fun thing. However, I also have the opposite problem where I've known people were going to expire
Oh.
within 2 to 5 days.
Oh,
Or
wow.
as they're expiring, I am dying with them. It's very
Okay.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's very strange. It's a weird feeling.
Do you know these people?
Some of them.
Mhm.
So the first one that ever happened was my grandpa on my mom's side, which I laugh because it's so funny that I was talking about it. So I got this little like curly Q thing here.
Mhm.
That's never been here till about a month ago.
Oh,
And my
wow.
grandpa, we used to call him his Superman curl because he could never get it to do anything. And he always had, and it was the same curl, and I've never had it before, but it's here now. So I guess
Aw.
he's with me. But he had Alzheimer's, and he was very, very aggressive. And
Mine was
so
too.
initially, we tried to keep him home. That clearly did not work. Like he was,
Yeah.
getting in his undies and walking down the road,
Mhm.
or getting lost in the woods. And there's like tons of acreage back there, so it was just not safe. So we put him in a nursing home, but then he was too violent for the nursing home. So then we had to move him to a hospital up north.
Mhm.
And I was at my mom's house, and I was sleeping on her couch, and I was just snoozing away. And next thing I knew, I woke up and realized that I was not me. I was like, wow, one, I'm really tall, which I am not.
Mhm.
My grandpa's like 6'1", 6'2". I'm 5'2".
Mhm.
So one, I'm really tall. This is weird. Number two, I'm oddly tan. I am also not tan, obviously. He is, though.
Yeah.
He's always been tan. And then I'm like, I also don't have a
Yeah.
sorry, I'm not sure what your word I can use.
Dick.
I am not a man.
Mhm.
And so I was like, this is weird. And I'm looking down, and I'm like, so like I was like familiar, but I couldn't pin it. And
Right.
what's weird was my feet and my hands were strapped, and I was in a hospital bed, but I was
Aw.
strapped to the bed.
Yeah.
So I couldn't move, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was just sitting there, and I remember, I was looking around, and then all of a sudden, I couldn't breathe. Like I just felt like something was just sitting on me, like like an elephant on my chest, and I was trying to just gasp for air. And there was a nurse with her back turned. She was like writing in like the chart or whatever, and had her
Mhm.
back turned to me, and she was at like a sink. And me,
Mhm.
I was yelling and trying to like, help me, I can't breathe, like come over here, like trying to get her attention. She had no clue, that didn't hear nothing. Apparently nothing was coming out. Like I was trying and nothing was actually coming out of his mouth. And it was just like heavier and heavier. And then eventually it was like everything around me was black. Like it started to close, like the ring closed, and it
Mhm.
got smaller and smaller and smaller. And the moment it closed completely, I woke up, like I like sat up and couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap. I was like, I think my grandpa just died. And then the phone rang.
Oh, wow.
And my mom was the first one on the call list.
Mhm.
And so she answered the phone, and I couldn't hear what she was saying. And she walked around, and she's like, I'm like, Grandpa's dead, isn't he? She's like, how did you know it? I'm like, I think I just died with him. Like, I don't know. I was like,
Oh,
how else do you
wow.
put that? I was like, I don't know what happened. And it was just really bizarre. And then But another one, I had this dream where I was running and I was with this woman that I don't know. I've never seen her before. I don't know anything about her. But we were running from this person in these dark jeans and a black hoodie with the hood up. And we were hiding.
Mm-hmm.
And then the guy found us and he proceeds to stab the woman to death. And I'm just standing there like screaming, like bloody murder. And I'm watching all of this happen. But the guy acts like I'm not even there. He doesn't hear me. He doesn't see me. It's like I just don't exist. And I am like losing my, mind here.
Oh, yeah.
And I have no idea, but I watched this woman bleed to death, like right there on the ground. And the next day, wow, that was a really chatty piece there. That was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, friend. But I got up and my mom always had the TV on the news, like 24/7, so it was in the kitchen. And I came around the corner and was getting in the fridge to get some milk. And I just so happened to look at the TV because it was like muted. And her face was on the TV. The same woman that I saw last night. Like, I'm like, I don't know this woman. So I turned the volume, of course, because I'm freaking out. And they were investigating her murder and they found that she had been stabbed to death the night before. So I watched it happen, but I couldn't do anything. I was just totally helpless. It's just that I knew. But then I've had one where, so I knew of him. It was my husband's stepdad. And I knew his name. I've never met him before. He was in a nursing home since like well before I met my husband. So and they live like in another state. And I had this again, I wake up. I'm clearly a man. What's weird is I was like, I'm in a bed from like a hospital. But I'm looking around. I'm like, I'm in his mother's house in the bed.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm like, okay. And there's a nurse there. And the same thing happens. I can't breathe. And, I'm trying to get the nurse's attention. And everything goes black. And then boom, gone. And so I was like, okay. And so I told my husband, I was like, babe, I said, this is going to sound really weird, but if you have anything that you got to say to your stepdad, you better say it now. I said, because he's not going to be here. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, he doesn't have long. You better call him if you have anything that you want to say to him. And he's like, oh, no, whatever. And I was like, he's going to die in your mom's house.
Yeah.
He's like, no, he's not. He's like, he's in a nursing home. He's been in a nursing home for years. He's going to die in that nursing home. And I'm like, no, I'm telling you, he's going to die in your mother's house. And he's like, oh, whatever. Like, it's fine. Later that same day, his mother called him to inform him that they were putting him in hospice and moving him to her house. And the next day he died.
Oh my goodness.
I did the same. I was like, and it's just, and then I had my grandpa that was, my other grandpa that was, very, very close. We were tight.
Yeah.
And like I would drive 2 states away to take him to his doctor's appointments and his surgeries. And if he needed somebody to go, like we had family that was around him, but he would call me to come help him. Or if he had, news or whatever, he would always call me because, he knew that I wouldn't judge, or anything because grandma was already gone. And he was, just, he was sweet, but he was kind of sicky or whatever. And I had a dream. And I had a dream. But this one was different. I was in a hospital bed again. Apparently I like hospital beds. But I was in a hospital bed. But what's weird is I feel really dizzy. Like I'm really lightheaded. I can't think straight. Like my head is killing me. And I'm like, what is happening? I'm like, I can't breathe. And I was like, something is like, my chest was heavy and I was like, something's wrong. And then I was told that we were dying. But it wasn't like, right this second. They're like, you don't have a lot of time. You've got a little bit of time. So I was talking to my aunt. Well, I guess, whatever. We were talking to my aunt and we were like, get him on the phone. We want to say goodbye before something happens. Yeah. So in my dream, we're getting everybody on this like Teams call or Zoom call or whatever. And we couldn't find my brother.
Oh.
And he would have just been devastated, right? So everybody's panicking. Everybody's trying to find him. They can't get a hold of him. And, I talked to everybody and then I get a hold of my brother. I talk to him and then I just die.
Wow.
And I woke up and I mean I was a mess. I mean I was a total mess. And I told my husband, I said, I have PTO. I was like, I got PTO. I need to go see him. I need to be there. I need to physically go and see him. I was like, I've got time to do it. And he's like, oh, honey, it's just in your head. It's no big deal. It's fine. It's nothing. It's nothing. And I was like, I'm telling you, I was like, he's not going to live very long. I need to go see him. I have the chance. Can you just take care of the kid and everything else while I go for a few days? And he's like, everything's fine. He's like, just call him and talk to him. You'll feel better. So I called him. And we had a really good conversation. We talked about the football game and how he was doing. He said he was doing good. He said he was going line dancing with some girl like the next week. And he was all he was all excited.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. I'm like, are you sure you feel okay? And he's like, yeah, I feel fine. Everything's good. I'll talk to you later. Love you. And I was like, okay. So I get off the phone and he's like, see, do you feel better now? I'm like, no. I said, I can feel it. I can feel it in here. I was like, it's deep and it's telling me that I don't have long. I said, I know what he's telling me. I said, but I can't shake it. And so that weekend, I used to work weekends. And so the rule was, don't ever call me at work. And my phone rings. Of course, it's my mother.
Yeah.
So what happened was my grandpa fell and he smacked his head on the dresser.
Oh no.
Busted it open, bleeding everywhere. He's kind of a heavy set guy. So they couldn't pick him up. So they had to get the EMS to come get him. I heard of that time. Hi. And they came and they picked him up and they took him to the hospital. And what they found out after running some tests was he had gotten COVID.
Oh no.
COVID turned into double pneumonia.
Oh.
And then his oxygen levels dropped. So when he stood up out of his chair, he got dizzy and he fell. And then he had a concussion, like a pretty decent sized concussion.
Yeah.
And had to get stitches to close the wound. And which would explain everything in my dream about being dizzy and my head hurt and all that. Like that all makes sense. And so my mom's telling me, I'm like, Mommy's not going to make it. And I don't have enough time. I said, I don't have enough time. We won't make it. If I leave right now, there's no way. There's no way I can get there in time. And so she's like, well, they're wanting to do a call. She's like, I know you're at work. And I said, I don't give a about work. All right. I will be wherever I need to be on this phone call. And we got everybody together except my brother. We couldn't find him. He wasn't answering his phone. Nobody knew where he was. They were panicking. Everybody exactly like what I thought.
Yeah.
And so, but we did. We got everybody except my brother at the time. And we got on there. And what was interesting was you could tell he wasn't very coherent. He was very slurred. A lot of things didn't make a lot of sense. But at one point, he was like, Natasha, which he doesn't usually ever call me by my full name. And I was like, yeah, Pat, what's up? And he's like, you were here.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, yeah, Pat, I'm right here. I'm right here. Like trying it because nobody else knew anything.
Right.
But I was like, I'm right here. And he's like, I love you. Like just very, which is weird because the rest of the conversation with everybody else, he was not very coherent, but he was like dead set. Like you were here and I love you and I know I can talk to you, which is strange. And then he like right after, it's like it took everything in his power to get that out. Because then he immediately was like, I don't feel very good. I'm tired. He's like, I think I'm going to lay down. Can I lay down?
Oh.
And we're like, yeah, we love you. Get some sleep. I knew.
Yeah.
But I was like, get some sleep. They were able to find my brother just in time to talk to him. And then I got a phone call 10 minutes later that he died.
Oh my goodness.
And I went home and I was like, I could have been there.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to happen. I told you it was going to happen. I could have been there. Granted, I probably could have been in the room because it was like, COVID city.
Yeah, that's true.
Everybody was on lockdown. They barely even let my aunt in there. Knowing he was going to die, they barely let her in there.
I did the same thing with my grandmother.
And I'm like, I could have seen him. I was like, you told me not to. I was like, I told you. Like, I was like, don't ever question me again.
Yeah.
I was like, because if there is like pretty much anybody in this entire world that I would have wanted to be there, and that includes you, that would have been the one I wanted to be for.
Yeah.
I was like, and I missed it. I knew and I missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but he's the last one. He's the one that lasted the longest. Usually it's the day or the day after, but he made it 5 days.
That's good. I mean, that's good for.
Yeah. And I'm glad that he knew that I was there, even though I wasn't there, I guess.
He knew, I think he knew you visited.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Glenn.
I was just going to say, don't call me.
No, I literally have people that are scared to death when I call them. I've had people that I call and I'm like, oh, hey, I was just wondering if you could, and they're like, and they literally go, I thought you were going to tell me I was pregnant. I'm like, no, I would have led with that if that was the case.
Yeah. Hey, you're
I literally have people that are like, I'm scared to death. If you call me, something bad's going to happen. I was like, oh, guys.
You have 7 days.
You have, you will die in 7 days. But yeah, it's just like, it's weird stuff like that. So, it's like, I see, life coming in. So, and I can't get, I have no control over it. I don't know who, I don't know when, I don't know where, I don't know. I mean, I had last year, at the end of last year, I had, wow, that was strong. She's getting a lot louder and lengthier.
That's some feedback from your
okay.
thing right there.
But it's just kind of one of those things that it's like life coming in. I can't control it because a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, can you tell me?" And I'm like, "I can't. I don't know." I'm like, "I don't know if I even can. I've never tried."
Yeah.
I don't go around telling people like, "Oh, I'm like," no, I don't like that psychic word. I don't like that medium word. I don't like any of that. I'm not all like, "Ooh, Aunt Gertrude." No, I don't do that. I don't do that. Like, not happening. But it's just stuff that I'm like, it's just something for me. It's just something. It just makes me quirky. It's just something that I do that I've done for a while that I don't control. But it's sometimes I see life coming in. Sometimes I see life going out.
Yeah.
But I've had deaths around me that I didn't see.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like it happens all the time.
Yeah.
And they were family. So and it's just really weird because, like I said, I sometimes hear things and see things and feel things and like things mess with me. It doesn't matter where I go. If it's here, they mess with me at work.
Yeah.
It's just like everybody makes a joke and I'm like, dude, spooks are everywhere.
Yeah.
Because they will find me.
Energy. If we're all just energy.
Yeah.
Energy never goes away. It just transfers from one form to another.
And I mean, it's just some of the stuff. It's very interesting to me because I don't understand it. I don't know how it works or why it works. But I've even, as weird as this is, I did have a therapist once, and I did tell her.
What
most of the time that she actually did not shoot me down. She was like, "That is so interesting."
Oh, that's cool.
And she listened to everything that I said, and I think she kind of had a little bit of it herself.
Oh,
and I've never found a therapist besides her. She just retired. I'm really upset about it.
Oh,
but,
man.
She kind of understood it. She's like, "But you're on a whole different level." She's like, "I would love to see your brain." And I'm like,
yeah.
Thanks, Dahmer.
Yeah.
She goes, no, she's like, I would love to do scans. She's like, because she's like, I would be so interested. She goes, it'd be so fascinating to see how your brain works.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I think it would be too, but that's really expensive.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, what's weird is I don't know anybody else in my family that's like this. I do think that there maybe is like an aunt, and maybe my mother.
Mm-hmm.
So the little girl that I saw at my old house, my mom knew exactly who I was talking about because she saw her.
Ah.
And so I'm like, okay, well, you've seen her. She didn't see the other stuff I saw, but she did have a big black thing in her room that she said that she couldn't breathe and move. So maybe it was the same thing.
It could have been.
Change shape.
So yeah, she said it was a big, tall, black thing, but hers sounded more like the traditional sleep paralysis situation.
Oh, well.
Whereas mine, I was clearly awake and looking right at, like we were interacting while I was awake.
But somebody may have changed her memory of that.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Because but I mean, in that family, I mean, long. And we have stuff that we've passed down from like, they're like, oh, your great grandma used to do this or that or whatever, and
Yeah.
I'm like, it seems a little witchy to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, and there's just something about it, and this is going to sound totally morbid, but this is how my family is, right? My parents have a bunch of crap in their house, and one day my mom was like, well, we need to figure out what you guys get when we die.
Yeah.
My mom's like 50.
Oh.
But whatever, toot your horn, Mom. So I was like, okay. I was like, can I make you a deal? And she's like, what? And I was like, I need to touch it before I take it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to end up with anything that I can't be around. And she was like, okay. And she literally just took me around the house. And, I would touch something. I'd be like nothing. I got to this table. And I mean, it was one of those things that I was making my way to the table when we started. For something about that table was like calling me over to it, and the moment I touched it, it was like something in me was connected.
Oh,
no
wow.
idea why. It's just an end table that holds a lamp.
Yeah.
I don't get it. But as soon as I touched it and like got that connection thing, it was like all I could think about. Like my husband started realizing, he was like, you kept standing by that table. Like I just wouldn't even think about it. And I would just end up migrating over towards the table. And it's this, and she said it, she couldn't remember exactly how long ago we got it, but it's been in like her side of the family for a very, 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 very long time.
Okay.
And it's like this, I mean, very old, put together. You can see, like, it doesn't have screws or anything like that. I mean, it's very old. And it's just this dark wood, and it's just a little end table. And at the feet are like claws. They're almost like a clawfoot tub, only more like, I want to say creature looking.
Yeah, with the real
like a crowfoot almost.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have like coasters. It's got some kind of, I don't know if it's a crystal or something, like balls.
Okay, yeah.
Underneath it. And that's what holds it up.
Oh, yeah.
Are these like little crystal balls. And there's everything else in the house. I got nothing except there's one chair. And for whatever reason, I assume that whoever owned it was an alcoholic, and I don't know why.
Huh.
I just got like serious alcoholic vibe. And it's a little bitty kid chair that we got from my grandpa's brother or something. And, he's probably like 90, 100 years old by now. And just something about it wasn't bad. I was just like, I think whoever owned this liked to drink. And then I found out he actually did like to drink.
Oh, he did.
Yeah. And it was his childhood chair.
That's weird, isn't
which
it?
I thought was interesting.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, I still don't know what it is, but I'm like, there's just something about it.
That's a cool looking it sounds like a cool looking table.
Oh, it's super cool, but it's like really fragile.
Yeah.
Basically, if my mom dies, it's gonna probably come out here and just like be a piece in the corner that I don't touch.
Right.
Because I don't trust it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like really spooky.
I get you. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just really weird that I was like, there's just something about it. I don't know why. And nobody else felt it. And it was just me. And I'm like, I don't know. I was like, but this is my tape. Out of everything in the house, I was like, that's all I want.
Yeah.
That's it. I just want this table.
Very cool.
So
Natasha, you have to keep us up on your creepy crawly things, because and I'd like to kind of do this again.
Yeah, I'd love
for sure, definitely
get off with you. So we've had some similar experiences, so that's kind of cool.
And I think it's so cool when you find somebody else. Like I recorded with Eric Normal, and he was talking about being an empath, and
yeah, we'll look at her bars.
Yeah.
What's wrong with my bars?
Your bars went from 1 to like 5 to like 1, then to X, and then back to full scale.
You cut out.
On my side, it looks fine.
I don't know. You cut out. You said
Oh, yeah.
Eric something.
Yeah, we heard Eric, and that was it.
Oh, no, Eric from Unseen Paranormal.
Okay.
He was talking about being an empath and some
Yeah.
of the things that he experiences because of it.
Mhm.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, you can do that too. I'm not the only one.
No.
And so then I just like kept asking a bunch of questions. I was like, oh my gosh, what's it like? It was like, I don't find very many people like me. This is so cool.
Yep. Well, like a dream you were talking about backstage or before the show.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
just, I mean, some of the stuff I like I said, I don't get it. And it gets to the point where people are like, oh my gosh, I would be like bricks. Like it'd be a whole thing. They're like, oh my, and they're like, you're just so nonchalant when you talk about it. I'm like, guys, this happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
It's literally just like tying your shoes in the morning. Although I did get shoes that I don't have to bend over and tie because I'm getting a little chunky. I got those slided Skechers and they are great. Highly
Yeah,
recommend.
they're awesome.
I should get a little promo from Skechers for that, right?
You should.
Because I wear them.
Where can we find you, and what have you got going on in the near future?
So I have, oh goodness, I'm everywhere. So social media wise, I am pretty much everywhere. I've got X, I've got Instagram, Facebook, Threads, TikTok, YouTube. And if you're listening and you want to do YouTube, that's fine. Otherwise, there's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Amazon, and a whole bunch of others that I don't hear much, like Castbox and stuff like that. Just some like one-offs. I do have a Patreon page that has more of that's really the only recordings that are just me.
Yeah.
And one of the tiers in the Patreon is also the only place that you can find all of my videos.
No.
So I record everything because all this weird stuff happens. Like sometimes the lights will flicker and something, just weird stuff happens. So I make sure I record them all. And that's on the Patreon too. I did sync it up. So you might be able to find the Patreon episodes on audio wise on Spotify. If it's not on there, it might take it a few days to link over. But it is on there. And I mean, really in the future, I've kind of got a lot. I'm pretty excited because we have, the dragons coming up. And then the week after that, I kind of went a little outside the parameters and had a blast because we covered medieval torture devices.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Oh my gosh. I love it. So I've got a bunch of stuff going on as far as, like I said, coming up. I can actually, yeah. But I've got those. And then I actually have done 2 out of a 3-part. It's going to be a crazy, crazy ride. Again, don't listen with little ears. It for people that might get offended. Just don't listen. But anyway, it'll be a 3-part. I did it with Melissa from Ouch, Was That a Ghost? And we covered the Zimbabwe goblins, or they're also known as tokoloshis. And it is amazing. I mean, it's freaking hysterical is what it is. So I have that. I do have, like I said, I've got the UFO coming up. I'm trying to get a few other things, and I am hoping to, in the near future, I'd say probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks, maybe, I'll be doing some live shows. So I'll be doing, hopefully, Friday Night Frights, obviously on Fridays, probably the first Friday on Facebook. I bet the person with the button was real nervous on that. And then I thought about doing on the second Saturday, doing Nights with Nat, where I kind of do a similar thing, but I do it on TikTok as opposed to doing it on the other platforms, just because I want to kind of, everybody has their own thing that they like to use, and I want to make sure that I can include everybody or as many as I can. But yeah, so what? Oh, I didn't know what you said.
Oh, I said, something, right? We cut him out of this one since he's gonna watch it later. So.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we're pretty much everywhere. I try to stay pretty active on there. Just so everybody knows, shameless plugs. Okay, I'm gonna do a few shameless plugs if that's okay.
Sure.
1, I got merch.
Oh
Suck
yeah.
us.
Oh yeah.
I actually have 2 places that you can get merch. So if you go on my website is www.cryptidscreepsandconspiracy.com, and links to the merch are on there. Also, if you're on any of the social media platforms, there's a Linktree link in the bio. And if you click on that, it gives you everything. If you want to donate, if you want to go to merch, it has both the merch stores. One of them is, t-shirts, cups, that kind of thing. The other one, the square one, is like this dress. If you guys are watching, my little dress that you can get, there's pants. There's just more options of different items that you could get as opposed to the other one. And rate and review, because that is a huge help, and people don't ever realize that actually doing those little reviews make a huge difference for us, especially as little guys. So that would be great. And if you have any stories, encounters, I mean, it doesn't have to just be cryptids or aliens, or it could just be, I saw this really, really weird thing this one time when I was out walking in the woods. Whatever, this thing crawled out of my toilet. I don't know, whatever the case may be. You can actually just send those to me, because I would love to have enough to do a listener episode. And you can either, again, so my email is cryptidscreepsandconspiracy@gmail.com. Or if you're on the website, there is a form and you can fill it out on there as well. And I will get it either way. And I just always like to encourage people on there. If you do so, if you want me to change the name, I'm more than happy to do so. You could be Patrick Squiggle Pants. But I need to know. So one, I need to know, do I have your permission to share your story on the show, and whether or not you would like for me to change your name. So I think that covers everything.
Awesome.
I hope.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much it. Well, cool. Well, we'll get this special episode up maybe probably next week, and picked out. And then you and I'll touch base. I'm gonna keep in touch with your email, and I'm gonna make sure we are social, at least on Facebook. So
I know I'm on your group. I don't know if we're friends, but I'm on your group.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
send you a friend too.
I hate it. I talk with a passion, so I get sucked into it. That's my problem. So, all right. Well, we will let you get back to your life. We've intruded into it enough, and I appreciate your time.
Not a problem. I got 20 minutes. It's bedtime. So I'm going to go medicate myself, finish my alcoholic beverage, which I'm not supposed to do with my medicine, but what
Who
the heck?
cares?
Hey, sometimes we have to.
Rules are made to be broken.
Yes.
Exactly. All right. So, you can always find our show, the Paranormal Guyz. Our normal live show is Wednesday night at 9:00. Then we have the Grin and Guardian Gang, which is a challenge coin fire EMS type show. That is on Friday nights. And then Saturdays, a bunch of my weirdo friends get together. And this week we're going to have some guests, and we just roast and toast each other and have a little fun. All of that is replayed on Yergz Radio, YERGZ radio.com. And of course, you can always find us now on WDJY in Atlanta, Georgia, and Fairfax Radio Fairfax Cable Channel 37 in the Washington, D.C. area. And now your favorite Sportcat is being a DJ, and you can find me live. Well, it's not really live, but it seems like it's live on the Thin Line Rock radio station, and it plays rock and roll Wendell. So just so you know, they play music. So, but yes, that's where you can find me, Dina. You're gonna be on most of those missions with me. Anything else? You got the Ross thing going on.
Not until next week, Monday.
Okay. Mondays and Wednesdays.
Monday and Wednesday. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you can find her, whatever his afternoon happy lunch.
It's called. Dang it! You made me forget now.
I can't remember. Something happy lunch something. But yeah, you can find that. So. And I can't wait to listen to this episode back to see what I did hear.
Yeah, I want to know too.
Yeah.